And I knew it was going to be a hard game. They've been playing well. The things they do are difficult, especially you don't see a lot of it anymore with all that motion stuff. And then they played about as good a game as they could play in the first half. And ironically, the two guys that really hurt us, like I coached Foster's dad at Akron when I was an assistant coach. He's the head coach of the Pistons. He killed us. And then Grant Huffman's a guy we recruited really well. We know his whole family. So the two guys we really know well hurt us really badly. Huffman's only made 5 threes in the conference all year. He made 3 of them at St. Louis, and he has a similar night tonight against us. But he's not a great shooter. He's a good player, but he's not a great shooter, so that hurt us. And then we just couldn't get stops when we needed them. We picked the tempo up, and we fought hard, but we dug a big hole. But we had opportunities to win the game. I give our guys a lot of credit for, just their attitude and not giving up, but we just didn't play great, and they played pretty good the first half. I didn't think they could play much better, but we had trouble guarding the ball. They beat us consistently off the dribble, and that's a tough way to go.
Keith, you made the decision when you talked to the guys to go massage instead of maybe be a little bit critical. Was that because of that fight and just making sure that the guys understand that it was noticed?
I don't know what you mean.
It just, when you talked to the guys after, they said that it was just about how proud you were of the fight they displayed. Just how important was it in that moment to choose to massage?
They want to win. I mean, there's no sense in getting on guys right now. They fought for us all year long. What are we going to do? We didn't play very good. I don't think it was from lack of effort. We looked a little dead on our feet, and that's part of what they do, is they run you around in that motion, and they take your legs away, and you don't shoot the ball very well. That's what kind of happened to us the first half. We shot the ball a little bit better in the second half, but we just didn't have enough to really get over the hump. We knew we had to turn them over a little bit. We only had 1 turnover against them in the first half, and that's a bad recipe. They're just running you around, and they're good at it. And you don't see a lot of it. So when you don't see a lot of it, you make some mistakes. We made a lot of mistakes. So there's no sense in getting on guys that are trying hard. I'm gonna get on them at the time, but not much after.
You mentioned the shots that Lawyer hit late. Did you think you had him fouled out? And we went out with his 4th.
I guess I'll watch the tape to find out. I'm gonna be mad if it is.
Huffman sold it pretty hard, which is what I was asking.
I mean, he hesitated. I know that the referee hesitated. Look, I get it. They do that in the league all the time, right? Try to keep the better players in the game. But listen, he popped us off twice, which is inexcusable, really. We got to make him at least drive it left. You can't let him shoot the 3 on those 2 plays. And, he kind of shoved Tevin off a little bit, but we got to be a little sturdier on that play. And then Trey came on and had his hand down. He's one of the best 3-point shooters that this league's seen. You can't come out there with your hand down. You got to make him drive left. If he beats you left, then you can live with the result. But you can't live with the 3-ball result. Those are backbreakers.
Jimmy picked up his 4th foul early in the second half, and then just sort of turned it on, scoring all 15 of his points. I think from the 9-minute mark on. So just what do you have to say about his performance in the first half, and then sort of how he transitioned into the second half?
So I love Jimmy Clark, but he's had a rough 3-4 games, really. Whether he's tired, whether he's beat up, he's had a tough time of it. And then, his decision making with 3 fouls, you can't reach. That's just not smart. It was frustration. But those are things that we have to continue to coach him with. And I thought he was frustrated and he reached. Things weren't going well for him. But he's an explosive volcano when he gets things rolling. He almost tied the game. It was a pretty good shot. Just didn't go in. But we're not going to be great if he doesn't play great. He's a good player. So, but his attitude's great. He just has to not get frustrated and get on to the next play.
Coach, there's been a pattern of late where you guys at home offensively having struggles compared to the road where you guys are scoring nearly 90 points a game. Is that just a mere coincidence, or is there something with the opponent when it comes to the offensive and splits home and away?
I'm assuming it's a coincidence. I mean, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. I do know senior nights are a little hard sometimes. Like, I've been around it a lot where teams struggle a little bit on senior night for whatever reason. We had a long week of travel. I'm not making any excuses for them, but like, I mean, we got home late both nights, so that hits you too at the end of February. But again, like, everybody has to go through it at different times. Look, I knew going in, like, don't be misled by their record. They're one of the most unluckiest teams in the country, and they lost like 8 games by, you know, less than 4 or 5 points. So they're a good team. Like, I think they were picked like 4th or somewhere around there, right? They're good. I mean, and they're hard and they're disciplined. They don't have as great a bench as they used to have, but they're still difficult. And they've had shooting issues, which they didn't have tonight. They came in, I think, shoot 33%. You know, so when they get Huffman to make 3 threes, they're gonna be in pretty good shape.
Keith, so when you watch film on a team like this that plays kind of unconventional, guys can't really get it probably till they play against them live, right?
Well, we played against them a lot of times, you know, over the years. So we pretty much know how to cover everything that they do. Now, this particular team hasn't played against them much.
Right.
So, you know, when you play Bonaventure, you see a lot of sets and things like this. They run some quick hitters, but a lot of it is just straight motion, and they're one of the best in the country at it. So, like, if you don't have great discipline, they can hurt you. And obviously, we didn't do a very good job. We did turn them over 7 times in the second half, which helped us. But we didn't do a very good job of, you know, really covering their action. And then on top of it, we got beat off the dribble. Again, I watched the tape, but I think that was our biggest problem is they just beat us, you know, one-on-one. And that's the issue.
Keith, now you guys are at an outside looking in for a double bye. How do you make sure that the EGBs stay present? Maybe you find some self-discovery in these next couple of games.
Got 2 hard games. I mean, everybody's the same for us. It doesn't matter, like, you know, doesn't matter who we play. It's always going to be the same. You know, we could beat the best team in the league, and we're going to struggle every single night. You know, but we're capable of beating anybody. You know, that's the good thing is we rallied ourselves and started to make a few the second half. We felt like we had some good shots in the first half. We just didn't make any. Just had a rough time of it. I think we were 1 for 11 from 3, right?
Yep.
We finished 9 for 24, so that's what, 8 for 13 in the second half. But that's us, right? Like, we've been like that. You know, if you check the statistics, we're one of the most inconsistent teams in the country. But it's not from not trying. We tried. We just were running in mud early.
I spoke earlier to the players. Once you change the strategy to speed them up, that was a big difference to get back in the game. The first half seemed like they were trying to pick you apart to get those mismatches. Would you agree on that?
Well, they scored a lot of baskets at the end of the clock. They scored a lot at the beginning of the clock and a lot at the end of the clock, and not much in the middle, right? Our strategy really wasn't much different. We wanted to try to speed them up the whole game, but we didn't really come with that kind of effort in the first half. We were too passive. You know, even if you make more mistakes, if you're more aggressive, at least they're playing out of their comfort zone a little bit. You know, and so I wouldn't say it was a change of strategy. We just probably tried a little harder. You know, and it's hard because if you try too hard against them, they can hurt you bad with the back cuts and the tight cuts and the, you know, the motion stuff where they'll get an angle on you and drive you. So I'd say the biggest thing is we didn't fix many mistakes. You know, like we only had 3 blocks and they drove the ball. We've had trouble keeping people out of the paint. We got to do better. But, you know, they had a good game. You know, if you watch their last game against Bonaventure, they mauled Bonaventure, who really doesn't get mauled very often. So they started to play better, you know, and they were ready to play. They played well, and we were average, and so that's what happened during the game. We just, you know, we couldn't overcome our average performance with them playing well. Anything else? Appreciate you guys. Why so dark in here today?